Hey, it's Trogly's Guitars here again. We've got a 1984 Gibson Designer Series Explorer. Basically, these are a standard Explorer from back in the day, in the 80s, except for they had these hand-painted stripes on them. Now, there's all different kinds of variations on the way the stripes look. Personally, I find this is the coolest one for the Explorer because it kind of goes upward with the Explorer, so this is my personal favorite, so I'm glad this one came into the shop. We do have its original case here. It's pretty badly beaten, but it still does its job okay. As you can see, there's lots of tears in the Tolex and things like that, but nothing that's super loose or anything, so you don't have to worry about that. One thing you will have to worry about is this latch. It's not too bad. It was a little stiff. I kind of worked with it, so it's a lot better now. Then you have this one, which is a locking clasp there. But this guy over here, it's broken. The piece right here kind of comes out, and that's why it no longer functions. So if you replace that top part here, you can actually still use that. This part still functions fine. So 2 out of 3 ain't too bad. The inside is actually surprisingly clean. It does have a slightly old case smell to it when you go up close, but overall, I was surprised. It's really not that bad for as gigged as this guitar was. You do have this little strap here that you can lock the headstock in, and you do have the compartment case. And these are really nice cases. If you guys have never had an Explorer case like this, they just lock in here. These are a lot nicer than Les Paul cases. But enough about the case, and more about this beautiful guitar. This is a player's grade guitar. It was pretty dirty when it got here, so I cleaned it up the best I could. And unfortunately, parts have been changed out on this guitar. So let's get to talking here. The headstock, fairly clean condition. But as you'll notice, there are some checking lines all over that. You're going to see that all over this guitar. Gives it a really cool vintage vibe. You do have a few nicks and dings here, around the corner, as well as here. And you can also see that the paint is kind of chipped by the tuners on every single one, but hey, that's okay. The fretboard and frets were just cleaned and polished, so they're looking just as good as they did when they came from the factory. However, one thing to note, you can kind of see there's tooling marks kind of right by each fret. I'm guessing due to the fact that, as you can see here, there's literally little to no wear on the frets. They must have been recently crowned, leveled, and dressed, because this guitar plays pretty well. And since there's no fret wear, it's either that or the frets were replaced. It's a little bit hard to tell if that's the case here, because usually if there's binding, it's a dead giveaway, but when there's not a bound board, a little bit harder to be for sure. However, they're very vintage styled frets. They're not jumbos or anything, so I'm kind of leaning towards the dressed frets. Pickguard appears original. Switch tip is something I added. The toggle switch, as far as I know, is original. But this came from a 70s L6S. I can't guarantee that it was original to that guitar, but it does blacklight in a different way, so it is at least older. I'm not sure what color would originally came with these, probably black, but I felt that the amber went with the whole theme of this guitar. Pickups have been replaced. The original pickups would have been, I believe, Dirty Fingers, which, give or take. Depends if you like them or not. I was never a huge fan of those. So you have 490T and 490R pickups in this one. And something to note, since these are uncovered coils, you can see the screw one's supposed to be here, which this one's correct. However, this one, it's kind of flipped. I think it's Gary Moore. That's the Gary Moore mod. I don't believe the guy who had this Explorer was a fan of Gary Moore. It's because the lead is not long enough. It was actually spliced in here to get it as long as it was. So that does give you supposedly an out-of-phase sound. I think it sounds just fine. However, that is something I do want you to know, because it is there. Pickguard shows lots of picking scratches, as you can see there. The knobs that came on this guitar originally, like when I got it, one was a reflector and the other two were kind of 50s custom knobs. So I just took them off since they were mix match anyways, and I gave this one they're modern gold speed knobs. Once again, I kind of went with the theme. If you'd rather have black speed knobs or some other knobs, just let me know and I can see what I got in my parts drawer and we can go from there. So as you can see, lots of little picking scratches and whatnot, but the important thing is the finish checking, which is interesting when the finish checks with this paint, because you can see it a lot better, which is kind of interesting. There's some arm wear here, because that's where your arm rests when you play an Explorer. It's pretty natural. It actually feels great as well. So overall, decent shape on the front. It's got a nice vintage vibe to it. Take a look at the sides here. Nothing too bad there. There's a little bit of a ding there. Nothing too much on the side there. However, by the strap button, this strap button is replaced. You can see where the strap kind of wore away the finish there. Okay shape there. Then you have a similar story with the bottom strap. That one's actually the original strap button, and it's worn away there. When I had gotten the guitar, the original strap button was up here, and this one was down there. However, if you flipped them, the screw for this top one is not quite wide enough to grip properly. So luckily, when I switched them, this grips correctly as well as that one. And then they decided to add another strap button here. Then they took it out. So that's up to you to use if you prefer it there or there. That mod has already been done for you. Onwards to the back of the headstock. You have these gold Gibson tuners. And you have your serial number dating this one to 1984. You've got some wear and tear, you can see right there, but nothing too bad. Now, I looked at this guitar for a long time under black light, and I don't see any evidence of a repair. However, you do have these scratch lines, and I know sometimes Gibsons can break in a similar way to this. However, they really feel just like scratches. And after looking under black light, I'm going to go ahead and say they're scratches. Because, as you can see here, I'll try to get it more in focus here for you. There's stops in between these scratches. So it's not like a repaired crack because of that. It's a little hard to see, but it looks like just a ring the guy was wearing went up and kind of slipped on the neck one day. Because once again, under black light, I don't see any evidence of a repair. You do have some finish missing there on both sides because of the way the guy's sweat ate away at it. And you have a little bit of a ding there on the neck, but nothing too bad. You really can't feel that too badly, but there is a small indentation there. But overall, the neck is, I'd say 60s to a medium profiled neck. Not quite 50s. The back of the guitar does have some buckle worming rash. Nothing that really, eats through the finish too terribly. But the back also has the checking as well. But overall, it's a player's grade guitar. I was playing it. This is the first Explorer I've had, and well, it's probably actually my first actual Explorer. I had a 76 Explorer, but the headstock broke off when it came to me. So there you have it, this really cool Designer Series Explorer. These are pretty rare guitars, and they're fairly desirable, because I would rather have this than the black one, but that's just my opinion. So if you're interested in purchasing this guitar, you can contact me on my Facebook page, facebook.com/Troglys, Trogoys. That's where you can send me your best offer, as well as, share pictures of your guitars, see pictures of other people's guitars, see pictures of the guitars I got. It's just a fun place to hang out. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you next time.